Hey, what's up, VC and YouTubers out there? It's Kendall Stokes coming at you with a video for the Spin Doctor and his Vinyl Mayhem YouTube channel. Figured I'd hit that vinyl tag 2023. Haven't done one before, and so I figured I'd do one for the first time. Rob Walker, this is for you, sir. Wanted to get in on this, so here we go. First question for the vinyl tag is favorite album of 2022. So in my 2022 video, I pretty much said I didn't really do a whole lot of new record buying in 2022. It was a lot of reissues or whatever, but there were a couple, so I hope this counts. Well, it should count. This is Brandi Carlile's new record that she put out at the end of 2022. Although this is technically just a rehash of her 2021 album, just new renditions of those songs and her cover of Space Oddity. But I think it's a great sounding record. The new version's done more acoustically. Really love this, really love Brandi Carlile. So this was my favorite new release of 2022. So really love this album. So there we go. Question 2 was last show you've seen. So last show I went to was actually in 2021, and it was of Dead and Company. So this is gonna have to do. This is Grateful Dead. It's the Skull and Roses album. Obviously Dead and Company haven't actually released any albums, so this is a German pressing of Skull and Roses, one of the great live albums they've put out, of course. First press, green label. Like I said, it's a German pressing, great live album. So, question 3. First album was the best. I think Eric Weinbender used this one, but I got to go along with it. Boston's first record. I've talked about this record before on a couple of my other videos. This is just a fantastic record. It's one of my go-tos to just whenever I want to listen to an album all the way through. I put this one on. Fantastic record. One of my all-time favorites. Love it. Listen to it all the time. Just a great album through and through, and it doesn't get much better than this. So, yep. Let's see. Okay, Hat Trick album, I believe, was the next one. Yeah, number 4. So, I don't buy CDs anymore. I definitely don't buy cassettes anymore. But somewhere in my house, in my storage, I do have the CD, and I think I still have the cassette somewhere. I don't know where, but I do have it somewhere. But I was not going to go looking around for it because I have too much crap in this house. So, but it would be of this album right here, Eric Clapton Unplugged. This is also a German pressing. But yeah, this is probably the only record I have all 3 of. One of my all-time favorites. I've done a whole video on the one step, but also just this album in general. This album means a lot to me. Go back and check that out if you would. Question number 5. Album starts and ends with the same letter. So I kind of cheated on this one, but I have a backup if it doesn't count. I figured I'd go with the same number. 2112 ends with 2. Rush 2112. If that doesn't count, I'm also going with Rolling Stones' Some Girls. Starts and ends with an S. Probably my favorite Rolling Stones album. It's hard to choose a favorite Rolling Stones album, actually, but if I had to, this gun to my head, this might be it. But 2112 ends with the same number, so I figured I'd show that as well. Next one, Born the Same Year. So I'm going to show this one. I'll let you guys decide of these two which one was born the same year as me. I'll just let that sink in. I'll let you decide. That's Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga. You guys decide. Most listened to album of 2022. So 2022 was the year that I really got into jazz. I had friends telling me I needed to get into it, so I finally did, and I kind of went all in and got into a lot of jazz. And so this was the record that I listened to the most of 2022 just in general. and it was John Coltrane, Blue Train. When this thing came out, I listened to it over and over and over again so many times. By far my favorite jazz album, by far probably my favorite jazz artist, maybe? I don't know. He's definitely my favorite jazz artist that's not a guitarist. But yeah, I love this record. Love it, love it, love it. So definitely listen to this the most this year. Most listened to artist of 2022. So that would definitely be Eric Clapton. I probably bought more Eric Clapton records this year than any other artist. This was something new that came out this year, Nothing But the Blues. This was from his 1994 when he live at the Fillmore. I believe it was 2 shows in 1994, or maybe it was a whole month. I don't remember, but never been released before on vinyl. This was a great 2 LP live set, but I bought a lot more Eric Clapton this year. This was just something new that came out this year that I bought. So listened to a lot of Eric Clapton this year. Let's see. Oh, Australian artist. This is the only Australian artist I have. They come from the land down under. Men at Work. Only Men at Work album I have. Only Australian artist I have. But it's a great record. This thing right here, I remember I picked it up, I think at a thrift store for like a couple bucks. I think it's near mint, perfect condition. But yeah, so Men at Work, my only Australian artist. Surprise purchase. So this actually my wife picked this up for me at the place that she was working at the time. This is a band called Tiger. They've only released 2 records. They're from the UK. They were progressive blues rock, and nobody could tell me anything about this band or this album. But what was funny was when she picked this up, they had 3 copies of this record at this place. And so I gifted one to Dylan at Noble Records, and I gifted one to my buddy Doug Osbury, who I met through the Record Bar, and he also owns Big Love Vinyl. Look them up on Facebook and the internet. But this is actually a really good progressive blues rock album. Everybody on this album were pretty much just session players, but it's actually really, really good. So I would encourage you to look this up. The only place that I could find it to stream is on YouTube, and you have to stream the entire album at once. There's no like single tracks, but it's not like on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. So, but this was the surprising pick, I would say. So it's a good album, and it was cheap, but hard to find. Next one, what is it? Completist on. So I only have one artist that I'm a completist on right now. I'm working on others, but the artist that I'm the completist on right now would be The Police. I have all of their albums, and I think it's just because, there's only 5 studio albums, so it's kind of a little bit easier, and they're pretty easily accessible to be completist on. So they're the only ones. I do think that this is their best album. I could have gone with this as best, first album as well, but all their albums are good, so I decided not to go that way. Although I do think all of Boston's albums are good too, but we won't get into that. Anyway, completist on The Police. Let's see. Run of 3 albums. Here we go. I am going with Mr. Billy Strings. Here we have his first album, Turmoil and Tinfoil, Home, and Renewal. And I know a lot of people were down on this album. I actually really liked it. This is actually the album that got me into Billy Strings. The reason I picked Billy Strings is because his latest album, the one he did with his dad, I really was not a big fan of. Had I purchased that one, that would have been on my list for another question, but I didn't purchase that when I streamed it first. I know a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy, but I just wasn't a big fan of that record. mainly because of his dad's vocals. I don't think his dad could sing worth a lick, and so I'm glad I did not buy that record, or that would have been my disappointing record of 2022, but I didn't buy it. Anyway, 80s soundtrack. Okay, I don't have a lot of soundtracks, and I was going to show a different one until I remembered I had this. One of my all-time favorite bands, Queen, Flash Gordon, from the movie Flash Gordon, the cult classic from 1980. Not the best movie in the world, but it is a cult classic, so it's fun to watch. But anyway, Flash Gordon. Flash, savior of the universe. So, yep, a band I'm working on being a complete of stuff. Let's see. Died in 2020. Well, I figured I'd go ahead and go this route. Miss Christine McVie. Gonna go Christine McVie, Fleetwood Mac. You know, what can you say? She was an amazing songwriter and singer. To me, she was the actual heart of Fleetwood Mac. I know people are going to talk about Stevie Nicks and, you know, Mick Fleetwood and John McVie and all, you know, and John McVie and Lindsey Buckingham, but I think she was the heart. So Fleetwood Mac will never be the same. So yeah, we will miss her. We will miss her. Disappointing purchase of 2022. So this one, it was disappointing, although I still enjoyed the album. It was disappointing because I thought I was going to like it more. And that was this one. This was a reissue. It was a Tone Poet. And I think the reason why it was disappointing is because I bought this one along with the Grant Green album that came out the same day. And I thought this one was going to blow it away. I thought I was going to enjoy this one so much more than the Grant Green. But the Grant Green, I've found that I've listened to so many more times. And this one I think I've listened to just like once or twice. It's still a great record, and I'm glad that I have it. But it's not been what I thought it's not been my go-to like I thought I was going to be, because Kenny Burrell is one of my favorite jazz guitarists. But Grant Green, I think, is now more of a favorite. So I don't know. Vinyl buy. So this was actually a gift from my wife for Christmas, because she knows how much of a Queen fanatic I am. This is a book, Queen album by album. This is kind of a really cool book that goes through every Queen studio album and gives really cool, detailed descriptions of the entire album. And there's really cool pictures of live shows and just really, really cool. Just really, really cool stuff. It's been a fun book and it's not like a sit down and read it book. It's more of a coffee table book, but it's been really fun to look at and just kind of read through here and there when you have some time. So this is my non-vinyl buy. Really cool, really fun. Grail. So my last video I actually showed this, and I guess you'll call it a grail, because I haven't really bought any. Not on camera. Not really bought any grails, I guess. But this one, I guess, would be the closest thing to it. And I bought it December 31st. But it would be Grateful Dead Reckoning. And the reason I say I guess I'd call it a grail is because it has escaped my hands so many times over the last year or two. And I was finally able to get a copy of it on December 31st. So call this my grail, I guess, for 2022. And we'll work on another grail this coming year, I guess. But yeah, super stoked to have this finally. Space Theme record. I just realized I don't think I grabbed my Space Theme record, did I? I did not. But I know where it's at. And it's just because it's kind of quick and easy. ZZ Top Afterburner. Just kind of a cool looking cover. Got the cool car in outer space. Woo! So there's my Space Theme record. VCLT gift. So I'll be honest with you, I have not received any gifts from the VC. That's just because honestly I don't think I've been in the VC long enough and nobody really cares about me. Just kidding. but no, I haven't really received any gifts from anyone in the VC. But that's just because I'm still kind of gaining my ground in the VC and I don't really know a whole lot of people. But I have received gifts from other people, friends that I've got in my own community of, vinyl friends and all that stuff. And this was a friend from this was a gift from my friend Doug Osbury. And it was a gift more, not just for me, but for my wife. And this was Gary Puckett, the Union Gap Greatest Hits, which, it's a cheap record, I'm not going to lie, but this is actually almost near mint. In great condition. But this was a gift because I asked him if he had any Gary Puckett, because this was my wife's father's one of his favorite bands, but also the first date he took my mother-in-law to was to go see this band in concert. And this was, obviously a long time ago. And so she really wanted to have some Gary Puckett on vinyl because of him. He died a little over a year, just about 14 months ago now. And so Doug was like, hey, I got you covered. And he sent this to us. So thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. And the last question is, wait, what was the last question? Oh, released in 1973. So this is probably one of my favorite records, period. And it is turning 50 this year. And I hope that it gets some love this year in the 50th anniversary reissue. Because I would love to see this get reissued with like a special edition, whatever. Because it's one of my favorites. And it's my favorite Dr. John record, but it is in the right place. Dr. John. That is just a cool looking cover. And this is just a great record. Everything on here sounds so good. Dr. John, I think, is so good and so hugely underrated. So I hope that this record gets some love this year for its 50th anniversary. Great record. Love this record. This is an original on the Atco label. Love Dr. John. Great record. So anyway, there we have it. My vinyl tag. So thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed watching. Hope you subscribe and leave me some likes and some comments. Hope you enjoyed the tag. Rob Walker, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you watched, sir. Thank you. Peace out.